Good afternoon, everybody. If you would come on in and find a seat. I think we have plenty of seats available for everybody, hopefully socially distant as well. I want to thank everybody for coming today. My name is David Adams. I'm the General Manager for Green Hills Communications, and I just want to welcome you all and thank you again for being here this afternoon. Today is a special occasion for Green Hills, and we have such a long history of providing services not only in this community but across Missouri. And so we're here to celebrate a new technological development that's available here in Chillicothe. But before we get to that, I want to introduce Presiding Commissioner for Livingston County, Ed Douglas. Ed is not only the Presiding Commissioner but also the Chairman of the Board for the Sliced Bread Innovation Center where we're at today. And we're excited to be here today because it certainly is fitting to host an event at this location. Chillicothe has deep roots in innovation, and to tell us more about that history, I'd like to introduce Ed. So Ed, come on up.
Thank you, David. We're really pleased to have this event here at the Sliced Bread Innovation Center, because that's what sliced bread's all about innovation. And the Green Hills announcement is the consummate in innovation, which we'll hear about here in a little while. But we're real excited to have this here. A couple of things about Sliced Bread Center. We have in our media room, we have the Kansas City Public Television documentary. When you come back to watch things, and we have a video of Highway of American Genius for each of the towns on the Highway of American Genius. And we're going to be opening our escape room, at least one of the two escape rooms, in the next couple of weeks. And that's over here, and you'll really, I think, enjoy that. We are going to show you, before the governor gets here, our welcome video. It's about 5 minutes long. I think the thing that's pretty cool about it is all the people saying, you know, the greatest thing since sliced bread. We try to collect them and put them on the very back of it. The unfortunate thing about it is, if you watch very closely, we have the governor on the front of this, so I wish he'd get to see it, but because of time, we're just going to play it for you now so we don't cut into any of his time. So hope you enjoy.
Missouri is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
We are pleased and excited to welcome you to the Sliced Bread Innovation Center in Chillicothe, Missouri.
Welcome.
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 Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome to Chillicothe.
Welcome to Chillicothe. Welcome to Chillicothe.
Welcome to Chillicothe.
Welcome to Chillicothe.
Welcome to Chillicothe.
The story of sliced bread is a great story for several reasons. First off, the inventor, Otto Rohwedder, had an unbelievable task of trying to build a factory, raise money, get a prototype of a machine, and all this on an idea that no one else ever had, to make sliced bread available to the public. In the mid-1900s, about 1917, he was ready to go, and everything burned to the ground. And interestingly enough, about that time, his doctor told him he had only a year to live. Forget this sliced bread stuff. Go home and get your house ready to die. Fortunately, he ignored that, and that's where it's a great story of perseverance, because nearly 10 years later, on July 7, 1928, Chillicothe became the first bakery in the world to offer sliced bread to the public. Now, the second great part of this story is the Chillicothe Bakery. Frank Bench, who owned the Chillicothe Bakery, had to take a chance. He had to be on the bleeding edge of a product that was not proven. But he decided that, yes, we'll be the first bakery to try sliced bread. And so, sure enough, July 7, 1928, we became the first bakery in the world to offer sliced bread to the public. This story from both Otto Rohwedder and Frank Bench is a terrific story because it's about what our country is made of. It's about entrepreneurship and innovation and willing to take a chance. And it's what's made the United States the greatest country in the world. Everyone knows the saying, the greatest thing since sliced bread. No one says it's the greatest thing since the iPhone or anything else. They always say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And so you see, it's the standard of all innovation, past, present, and future.
We're standing here in front of the Chillicothe Bakery building. The site on July 7th, 1928 where the very first commercially produced sliced bread was presented to the world. And I say to the world because out of the roughly 750,000 cities across the globe, we are the only one where this event has taken place. It is the touchstone of American ingenuity, and we're very, very proud to be the home of sliced bread. We encourage you, as you are here in Chillicothe, to experience some of our greatest things, and we're thankful that we have this to offer to you.
In Chillicothe, we know that we are the greatest city since sliced bread.
Enjoy your visit to the home of sliced bread.
We hope you have the greatest visit since sliced bread.
Thank you for visiting, and come again soon.
The greatest thing since sliced bread.
All right, thank you, Ed. The governor is scheduled to be here in just a few moments, so if you would just take a few minutes to continue talking and catching up. We have some refreshments over here that you're welcome to, and we'll get started kind of officially here in just a few moments. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is David Adams, and I'm the General Manager for Green Hills Communications, and thank you again for all being here. I'd like to begin by thanking Mayor Teresa Kelly and City Administrator Darren Chapel from the City of Chillicothe. We're so glad to be here today to celebrate this new technology with the city and to partner with you on this event. Governor Parson, we're so honored to have you here with us to celebrate this announcement and to commemorate the launch of these services to this community. We sincerely appreciate your leadership in expanding broadband service to rural Missourians. Your efforts and programs have brought solutions to communities and homes that so desperately need high-speed connectivity. So thank you. I also want to thank Congressman Sam Graves for his support of this project. While he cannot be with us today, we have his staff member, Mitchell Rice, and we will be joined by the Congressman virtually in a few moments. Finally, I want to recognize Dan Wiebers. Dan is the superintendent of the Chillicothe R2 School District. Superintendent Wiebers and his staff are leading the way with technology deployment and development, connecting the school locations with high-speed internet and fiber, and creatively solving connectivity challenges in students' homes so that all students can have access needed to excel in today's digital learning environment. Since 1952, Green Hills has been dedicated to bringing essential telecommunications services to rural parts of Missouri. Green Hills offers services in 10 counties, serving over 1,000 square miles. Over the last 10 years, we have invested over $20 million in our regional fiber optic network. Recently, Green Hills was awarded a USDA Reconnect grant, a $3.4 million project to bring fiber optic broadband to over 400 locations in Livingston and Caldwell counties. In 2016, Green Hills began offering fiber optic services here in Chillicothe. And this year, we've reached $5 million in private investment in this community. We're excited to be here today and celebrate a new technology deployment, 10 gigabit services here in Chillicothe. Our rural community's worst fear is losing out on an opportunity due to an insufficient infrastructure. With this 10 gig network, I'm confident that Chillicothe will have the connectivity that any business will need for the foreseeable future. 10 gigabit services means businesses can connect 10 times faster than any current network can offer and can serve the needs of any economic development initiative that should come to this region. This cutting-edge technology will serve as the foundation for innovation and connectivity for years to come, and is truly a rare offering in rural areas, much less urban metropolitan cities. This network also allows Chillicothe to participate in the digital economy. It helps create strategies that can grow the economy with digital jobs, build a stronger technical workforce, encourage rural entrepreneurship, and create smart amenities to the community that will attract and retain our best and brightest talent. At a time when tech startups are accumulating in larger metropolitan areas, we want to reverse the trend and the misconception that tech startups cannot be successful in rural communities. This network will enable Chillicothe to be the home of rural tech innovation and support the best tech entrepreneurs Missouri has to offer. as more and more healthcare providers use telemedicine to reach their patients. This network will help those doctors, nurses, and staff provide real-time care without being in an office, send large amounts of data to end users immediately, and get the services patients need quicker and more efficiently. Finally, we envision this network enhancing education by getting students access to learning initiatives across the globe. Virtual field trips are available at the press of a button and can transport local classrooms to experience exotic cities, new cultures, and fellow classmates around the world. We also want to ensure that this network helps get the connectivity to those who need it most. During the pandemic, we worked with Director Tim Arbeiter from the Department of Economic Development to utilize the Department of Economic Development's Emergency Broadband Fund to build fiber to rural homes in Davies County. We worked with Superintendent Wiebers and his staff to identify students lacking broadband at home and identified solutions to get them the connectivity they needed while schools were shut down. Now, we are fortunate to be joined virtually by Congressman Sam Graves. Congressman Graves is a lifelong resident of Missouri's 6th Congressional District. In Congress, he serves as the ranking member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and he also serves as a member of the House Committee on Armed Services. He is a small businessman and a 6th-generation family farmer, and he has spent his life working to make Missouri a better place to live, work, and raise a family. Congressman Graves.
Hi, I'm Congressman Sam Graves, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but thank you for the opportunity to celebrate this project. Deploying reliable, high-speed broadband internet to rural communities is one of the biggest and most important infrastructure challenges that's facing our country today. It's not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. We need internet the same way we needed electricity 100 years ago. People need broadband for work, they need it for school, for healthcare and agriculture. It's become a critical part of our lives. Our rural communities have to be plugged in if we want to compete in the 21st century. That's why this project is so important. The work that Green Hills is doing to make this one of the fastest networks in the entire state of Missouri is a very big investment in our future. It's taken bold leadership and forward thinking to get here, and I want to thank everyone who made that possible. One of my biggest priorities as ranking member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee is expanding rural broadband. We've obviously made a lot of headway in the past few years, but we've got a long way to go. And I'm committed to keeping this issue at the forefront in Washington, D.C. In the same way that rural electrification was a game changer in the 1930s, rural broadband deployment is a game changer for the 21st century. We can't afford to miss this opportunity. So thank you again for all the incredible work that you're doing, and congratulations.
Thank you, Congressman Graves. Next, I'd like to invite Darren Chapel to the podium. Darren is the city administrator for Chillicothe and an ardent supporter of broadband expansion in this community. Since his arrival to Chillicothe, Darren has been pushing for a state-of-the-art broadband network for the city, and we're happy to work with him and the city to bring this dream to fruition. Darren?
Roughly 10 years ago, when Google and Kansas City came out announcing Kansas City as the first 1 gigabyte city in the United States and indeed the world, I decided that I wanted to be the first 10 gigabyte city. And I've been working on this ever since. Now, as a city administrator, you go to different cities. This is not the same city I've been working on for 10 years. I was with 2 previous communities before this, and I just never could get anybody really to see the benefit of what we've been able to do here with Green Hills today. But when I came to Chillicothe, one of the very first meetings that I took was with Chuck Erkey and David Adams. of Green Hills, and I explained to them what my goal was, what my vision for the community was, and they had the same vision, and they wanted to see it happen. And what we have today is a culmination of all those years of efforts, not only of my own, but of Green Hills, of the city writ large, the county, and all of the support that we've gotten from all of the stakeholders throughout the entirety of our community. And this is a tremendous opportunity that we have presented to us here in Chillicothe. Now, unfortunately, a couple of other cities beat me to being the very first 10 gigabyte city, and I'm still mad about that. It's nobody's fault in this room, but there were some cities that held me back in years past, and I didn't get to be the first. But let me tell you what I am the first to be able to announce. In the state of Missouri, we are the only 10 gigabyte city that has a double redundancy trunk line to both Kansas City and St. Louis. And what that means is that we have that connectivity that nobody else has on a level as certain as we have it here in Chillicothe. I think it's extraordinarily appropriate that this be announced here in the home, within the home of sliced bread. This is where American ingenuity, the touchstone of American innovation, it happened right here. And we're still doing that here in Chillicothe. That's still who and what we are. And as an important concept, let me just explain it to you this way. I don't compete with Kansas City for economic development. I don't compete with St. Louis. I compete with Wichita, I compete with Tulsa, I compete with Bentonville, I compete with the smaller communities in the four-state region, and that's just on a physical perspective. But when we're talking on the electronic superhighway of information, I compete with the world. And for the first time, you can live and work and play and enjoy the quality of life here in Chillicothe that we have in abundance, and still have your office in Paris, France, or London, England, if that's what you choose to do. We have the ability that other cities in the state of Missouri haven't even really, to be perfectly frank, haven't even really begun to question as to whether or not they're interested in pursuing this, and we've already got it done. And that's because of everybody involved. Green Hills, the support of the city, the mayor, the county commissioners, all three of them are here today as well. Everybody involved has been supportive of this effort, and we got it done. And I'm so very, very proud and thankful for every single one of you, and I appreciate y'all being here today for us to be able to share this blessed news with you. It's a great day in Chillicothe, and it's a great day in the state of Missouri. It is also my privilege to be able to introduce to you the governor. Now, when I introduce myself up here, Governor, I explain that I'm a multi-generational hillbilly. Now, I'll let you do that if you want to, but now, the governor and I, we come from the same neck of the woods. And in fact, he and my father, my late father, they were really good friends. And the governor and I'm proud to call him a friend as well, and the First Lady, and I'm thankful for them and the efforts and the work that they've done in the state of Missouri. I have been privileged for many years. He was my sheriff. He was my state representative, he was my state senator, my lieutenant governor, and he is now my governor. And I present to you all today, Governor Mike Parson.
Thank you. Please be seated. Please be seated. Thank you all for being here today. You all. Can I say you all now? I think that's okay to say here in Chillicothe, isn't it? Man, as I looked around the room today, as I walked in there, I see a lot of friends that have been very kind to me over the years. Former sheriff, which always, my heart goes out to sheriffs across the state and law enforcement. Darren, who I've had many years of friendship with, also with his mom, and used to with his dad in the day. And then I think the elected officials that are here today. And another person's here today that I just haven't really publicly been out to say congratulations, although I have, seeing I made that appointment. But let me tell you, it's just a big, big deal to have the appellate judge here with us today. Judge Chapman, good to see you here today. Well, first of all, and David, for your remarks at the beginning of this, I'll have to be honest with you. I was asking some of my younger staff, I said, how big a deal is 10G? I mean, is that kind of like a big deal? Yes, sir, that's a real big deal. I said, do I have 10G at home? No, sir, you do not. So it's something else for me to work on, I guess, as we go through this. When I first become governor, I really tried to figure out what could I do with the experience I've had, life's experience, as a former sheriff, as a former business owner, former senator, lieutenant governor. What could I really do that I visioned to change Missouri? And really, what do I do for the future of our state? And two things come above all else. And you've heard me say it many, many times. And I hope if you learn anything else about me, you figure out the two things that the governor is very passionate about. It's workforce development and it's infrastructure. If you do not have those two things in place, and if you think your community is going to grow, it is not. If you think businesses are going to come here, they're not if we don't have those two things in place. It's why I made them a priority. And let me tell you how important that is. And we're talking about broadband today. But I don't separate the two. You've got to have both of them to be successful. So what is so important about workforce development? Well, I want my kids and my grandkids, your kids and your grandkids, to have the opportunity to a good education and understand what the workforce of tomorrow is. And we got to teach them that. But the only way you can teach them that is have the ability to get that information to them and to have them compete. And that means broadband. And that's what brings us all here today to celebrate this. Yes, extremely fast. And yes, it's pretty cool to have it in Chillicothe, Missouri. But more importantly, it's what it does for the future of our state. It is what's so important about this and what it is the community. For you, hopefully, for your kids to have a job, maybe they stay here in Missouri. And how do we build the workforce of tomorrow? And it's through things just like this. During a pandemic, needless to say, the last 12 months have been very difficult for all of us. Let me just say that. But what it also exposed us to, telemedicine, telehealth, teleeducation, virtual meetings. Anybody want to do any more of them crazy things? I'm so tired of that. I want to be able to look you in the eye like we are today. But the reality of it is we had to rely on that in some of our most difficult days. In multiple fronts we had to, especially in our school systems, especially for the health side of it. That's why this is so important today. Because if we can do better at that, we can do better to meet the challenges of tomorrow. Nobody expected all the things we've been through to happen. None of us did. You know, we take life for granted pretty easily sometimes. But it's the things you do to prepare you for the days when you really need this. The last 12 months, because we put workforce development in place, because we put infrastructure in place, because we spent $50 million on broadband in this state, why we put another $5 million in the budget this year to help again with broadband, and we'll continue to find ways to expand broadband in this state. Let me tell you why all those things were so important, because they were in place before we ever hit the pandemic. Even during the pandemic in the state of Missouri, we created over 10,000 new jobs. Not jobs you lost, not replacement jobs, 10,000 new jobs in the state of Missouri. Over $1 billion of business expansions in the state of Missouri during the last 11 months, which you've not heard anything about to speak of. But the reality of it, the reason we did, because we did things like we're doing in Chillicothe, Missouri today. We were preparing for that day when things happen. We can still continue to grow our state, grow our communities, and meet the demands of the new future for all of us there. That's why coming here today is so important to me, and why I'm going to continue to support broadband in rural Missouri. We still have 8 schools, sadly, that I say this in front of you. We still have schools in the state of Missouri that does not have broadband. Can you imagine trying to compete in a school system like that? And I'll even take that one step forward. If the school don't have it, that means probably the town don't have it. So if you can try to compete in today's markets, in today's world, but if we continue to improve our state with infrastructure, with broadband as part of that infrastructure, you'll be able to see us do so many positive things in the future for our state that will make us better. But you got to stay focused. We got to keep pushing. I don't know what's beyond 10 Gs. David, I don't know what's out there, but something else, I guess. Faster than that. But that sounds dang fast to me is all I know for that. So it's good to be here in Chillicothe today, home of the sliced bread. I do remember that. It seems like that is the big reminder when I come to Chillicothe. But just thank every one of you for in this room today, for being out, staying the course, keeping the faith. Our old state's a tough state. We can handle a lot of things that come our way, and we're going to handle what we've been through with the pandemic, and we're going to come out and we're going to be better for it at the end of the day. I guarantee you we will. And Missouri, things are looking better every day in this state. So keep focused, keep the faith. Honor and privilege to be here in Chillicothe today, to be part of this celebration. God bless and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Governor Parson. We are so appreciative of you being here today to celebrate this momentous occasion for Chillicothe and for rural America, as 10 gig technology truly is rare for rural or even urban communities. This project enables Chillicothe to remain a vibrant place to work and live. Having access to broadband, as the governor mentioned, doesn't only provide a means to the internet, but enables rural Missourians the ability to live where they want and build a successful life while enjoying all of the amenities that Chillicothe and our rural communities have to offer. So on behalf of the Green Hills Board of Directors and its patrons, we extend a heartfelt thank you for the opportunity to provide more broadband connectivity here in Chillicothe. Thank you for coming and have a wonderful day.